In this tutorial, I'll show you how I paint a textured weathered stone wall, cover it with moss and vegetation. I'll be working in Procreate using just one default brush, and I'll walk you through the whole process from scratch. This approach is useful for painting backgrounds for your illustrations or concept art pieces for houses and buildings. This guide is beginner friendly. If you're just starting out with digital painting, you'll find it approachable. If you are more experienced, you'll pick up tricks for adding texture and life to architectural elements. All you need is an iPad, an Apple Pencil, and Procreate. My name is Lilia and welcome to my channel. Here you will find beginner-friendly digital art tutorials, tips and tricks for artists, illustrations and daily sketches of mine, so subscribe and let's dive into it. Here I will be drawing a lot of rocks, so you may check another video tutorial on painting rock in Procreate. The one I did previously covered all the process but under different weather conditions. Start with a new canvas. Try to pick a relatively large size, so you will have room to zoom in and work on details later. The brush I'm using is a default Tamar brush, which you can find under the painting section of the standard Procreate library. Keep the opacity at 100% and you're good to go. Don't forget about two useful windows. The palette, simply drag the menu with the color wheel to a comfortable spot on your screen, and the reference window. Use your own drawing as a reference. To find it, go to the Range menu, Canvas, Reference. Start with a light line art. Draw freehand, no artificial straight lines. Keep it very simple, using oval and rectangular forms as a base. All the shapes should look natural, but try to keep a balance between the big stones and the small ones, so the wall will look believable. Don't spend too much time on this step. All these lines will be erased or covered with the color later, so there is no need to produce the best line art you are capable of. We just need something to build on. Create a new layer under your main line layer. Select your drawing with the lasso tool and fill the selection with neutral gray. This layer will help enrich the colors of your drawing later. Turn on alpha lock for this layer. Focus on establishing clear values and basic colors first. Here I choose a very dim organic palette. Since I'm going to add a lot of vegetation and the wall itself is quite old, I'll use plenty of green. The shadows will be cooler and the lit areas warmer. I'll show you all the color samples under the painting, so keep an eye on that area. Since I'm using a very modest palette, I want to jazz things up with a few red accents a little later. For now, let's focus on building the main volume of the stones. Don't dive into details and scratches at this point. We want to achieve a solid three-dimensional look here, not the final result. Define the light source, palette and shadowed areas right at the beginning. The gaps between the stones go into deep, almost black shadows, so you can create an additional layer and paint these borders separately. Then merge everything once it's done. Stones cast shadows on neighboring stones, so don't forget to find these spots in your painting. It adds a lot of life to the surface, since the stone wall is never smooth. Use a large brush with green color to tie together the lower part of the wall, where there is more moss. And the upper part of the wall will be lighter and better illuminated. Since I'm using the default Tamar brush, it gives a lot of nice texture to surfaces like this, and pen pressure helps a lot. It enriches the palette. Once we've reached a three-dimensional effect on our stones, and by the way, there is a simple way to check this. Create a new layer above your painting, fill it with gray, and turn on color mode in the layer menu. We can move on to adding details: vegetation, moss, textures, and cracks. Painting cracks is very simple. Just use a dark color and draw random lines here and there. Don't forget to add highlights on the opposite side of each crack to create an illusion of torn, broken surface. For texture, try painting spots of various sizes and adding a little shadow to them. This creates the organic irregularities that bring the stones to life. Don't hesitate to use hatching here and there. Add green areas for moss and some random brush strokes to suggest leaves. Try to paint them over the darker areas so they pop a little more thanks to the contrast with the background. Now it's time to anchor our wall into the ground a little bit. Create a new layer and paint a dark area under the wall. Use simple brush strokes and your existing palette to add grass blades, a few pebbles, and a couple of sticks or old leaves. Don't forget the small shadows cast by sticks and pebbles. You can also add some flowers or a flying moth somewhere, a lovely eye-catching touch for the finished piece. You should now have a textured, weathered, characterful piece that feels like it could exist in the real world. The same approach works if you are drawing a castle wall, building, or even an old fireplace. A few final thoughts. Don't aim for photorealism. Your wall has personality because it is painterly, not because it's perfectly accurate. If you are after a more realistic wall, use real-life references and don't imagine things that nature has already created for you. Walls are great practice for texture. The techniques you've used here, base color, shadow blocking, freehand line art, layered highlights, apply to almost any textured surface, stone, wood, or fabric. A simple textured brush like the one I've used here will do the job perfectly. Save your reference photos. If you want to try a different style of wall, real-life photos are an incredible source of inspiration. Stay tuned for more tutorials and time-lapse drawings. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on my next one. Cheers!